doesn't work that way. Okay, we are live on Facebook. We're streaming live now. I can hear feedback from somebody. I think on here I can mute, so I'm going to mute some people for now. And when it's time to speak, then you can speak. Okay, we've got 4 people online now. Perfect.
Can you take one of me out,
to
please? Can you take one of me out, please? I don't know how to do that.
There's only one of you now.
Okay, all right.
So we're good to go. Sorry about that. I'm not too familiar with StreamYard. It's a new software I'm using now. So sometimes we might get, Anyway, we're here now, so we're good to start. So welcome everybody to Life Changers Foundation. If you want to share, please share this with people that you think might benefit, right? We're live on Facebook at the moment. So this is Life Changers Foundation. We are a UK registered charity. And what we do mainly in the UK is to help people that are disenfranchised by helping them get back on their feet, get back to work. Also by running various trainings like employment skills training, just helping people back on their feet post-COVID. We've been around for a while. We've been around since 2005. Our Nigerian activity is similar to what we do in the UK. In Nigeria, we do run vocational skills training in Nigeria. Welcome, Dr. Bukola. Welcome, Sister Funke. I'm going to add you to the stream now, but I would rather have you on mute for now. Thank you very much. Right. So as I was saying, in Nigeria, we do a lot of vocational skills training. We also do free eye tests where we give people medication, free eyeglasses as well. And also we do operations for those who need to have major surgeries done on their eyes or one eye perhaps. Right. You'll be wondering why you're here. Most of you know why you're here anyway, but I'll just give you a brief background as to why I have chosen to go down this path. Right, this is a project very dear to my heart. From a very young age, I've always wanted a big family. Always said, oh, I'm going to have a home where we can take care of people. So it's something really personal to me as a child. But as I grew older, my parents don't know this, but I often give people steal food from my house and give it to people. Sometimes I'll cook in excess. When they ask me to cook, I'll cook a large meal and then give to people as well. And they'll be wondering, what's happened to the food? Why do food always get this? Why do food disappear in our house? But hey, that is me. That's what I actually do enjoy doing. Also, most recently, I was in Nigeria. Recently. Can everybody hear me clearly though? Good. Just thumbs up if you can hear me, because a lot of us are not here. So recently I was in Nigeria and I was with one of my sister-in-laws. Thank you very much, ma. I was with one of my sister-in-laws that is a police officer, and I sat in her office and a case came to her. One of the cases was a 10-year-old that had been defiled. I think been having a relationship with this man in his late 70s. The gate man to their school. And, the frustrating thing about that particular ordeal or that incident is the fact that the gate man didn't see anything wrong with what they had been doing. He in his mind, he had a relationship with the girl. And the justification he was given at that very point in time was the fact that, the girl was not a virgin and he did it only once. I felt really sick within myself at that point. And, I just had to leave because I would have pounced on him. I could have gotten arrested or could have said something that would get me arrested there as well. So I left. But when I later spoke to my sister-in-law, she made it clear that that's just one of many cases. This is something that has now become normalized in Nigeria. In Nigeria, people abuse and parents tend to want to hide it, or because they feel that they don't want their child to be stigmatized and things like that. So there's a huge problem in Nigeria. And I thought to myself, what do we need to do? We there's so many children out there that need help. We know that. But what can be done? So we thought that, okay, we're in the Life Changers Foundation is in the process of building a children's home. And the whole idea of building a children's home is to be able to, with the support of law enforcement agencies, to be able to remove children from abusive situations, right? And then, give them a place first until we find a permanent solution to the problem. Because what tends to happen, and this has been confined by most of the welfare officers in Nigeria, that they struggle. Every state struggles to find where to place these children. Sometimes these children have to go back to the home where the problem is. So that's why we're here. Apart from removing, how many children can we remove? It's that means we need a lot of homes. The government doesn't have a place like as such where rehabilitation center for
No.
children or children who have been traumatized. But we thought what we could do is we have a right, we have an act that is supposed to protect every child in Nigeria, the Child Rights Act. We have that. So why can we not find a way whereby every child in Nigeria knows their rights? Every child in Nigeria is able to assimilate. They understand, their rights, and they know their responsibility. They know what their responsibilities are. So that's why we're here, right? That's why we're here. That's the whole background. How do we start? This is a starting point. Having this talk, we're not just going to talk. We're going to take it further. We're going to have several talks and take it further. And the good thing is I'm so excited in my spirit that everybody here has something to offer. Some people have started something in line with that already. Some people are just starting. Some people are school owners. Some people have charity. So this is good. This is a good starting point. And that's why I'm excited. So I'm going to keep quiet for now and introduce everyone on the platform. I'll start from what I can see on who I can see on my screen. So I have Mrs. Oyedokun here with us at the moment. Mrs. Oyedokun is a principal of one of the schools in Nigeria. Her full name is Mrs. Georgina Abimbola Oyedokun. She's a graduate of the University of Ibadan. She studied language arts and guidance counseling, which is good. This is great to have you on this platform. She's a seasonal teacher,
Thank you very much.
post-primary educator for over 30 years. So we have 30 years of experience with us here. This is great. I'm excited. So please wave to us, Mrs. Oyedokun, so we can identify you. She also attended many educational leadership training and seminars, and she is a mother, which is good. She's a mother, and I think she takes her religion personally as well. Not to say personally, but she's very God-fearing. She's God-fearing and religious, and a respecter of. She's a disciplinarian. Hallelujah. Asking, you are welcome. You are welcome, Mrs. Edoku. And I think from what I can see here, I can see Mrs. Rhoda George. Mrs. Rhoda George is a CEO of Family Development Initiative. I'm sure she's going to tell us more about that. It's she's based in the UK. Is a registered charity as well that is based here in the UK. I've got Dr. Bukola here as well. Dr. Bukola runs a school in Nigeria. She's a founder and CEO of Toddler Haven Group of Schools in Abuja. She's a medical doctor as well, right? I'm right to say that, is a medical doctor. Yes, and the founder of Toddlers Havens Group. I have my sister here, Mrs. Taiwo Babawale. She's a teacher, a media personality, a writer, a speaker, and a trained trainer in adolescent reproductive health matters. So you can see we've got a broad spectrum of people here, which is great. Yes. Who have I missed out? I've got Funke Olugbemi. I can't see your face. Maybe you need to turn on your camera. Mr. Funke, thank you for joining us. I know it was a short notice. Thank you for joining us. I would allow you to quickly introduce yourself because I did not put your profile down. I'm so sorry. Can you introduce yourself? We can't really hear you.
It's echoing seriously here. And I've tried to adjust. I don't know. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. I've muted a few people, yeah.
Okay. My name is Funke Olugbemi, and I'm an educationist. And I have an NGO going through the process of registration. It's called Fight for Your Child. It's nice being here.
Yes, Fight for Your Child, yes. Oh, can you hear me? Okay. Mrs. Funke runs an NGO. The NGO is called Fight for Your Child. Right. We're expecting one more person, I think, because we changed the login. So he wasn't able to come in. As soon as he comes in, I'm going to add him on. I think I have been able to introduce everybody. So we're going to start with Mrs. Rhoda George. Mrs. Rhoda George, now, you've seen the brief. You know what we're all about, child's rights. We know we have a Child Rights Act, 2003. Lagos State adopted theirs in 2007. They've said that they've created a child-friendly version of the Child Rights Act. Now, the main thing is, if we have this sort of acts in existence, why is the level of abuse and violence against young children still high? What are your views, Ma?
Good afternoon, everybody. And I welcome everybody to this platform this afternoon. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, Ma, we can hear you.
Yeah, my name is Rhoda George. I am a specialist teacher. I teach people with special needs and disability. I am a trained teacher, specialist teacher from one of the universities in the UK. And at the moment, I am the founder and the CEO of Family Development Initiative. We're into well-being, disability, and speaking up for the children with disability. And although the United Kingdom has a very, very good act, and they have planned programs and supported the people with special needs, but we're talking about Nigeria at the moment. Nigeria has adopted, according to, thank you very much, Sherry, for this and for bringing me in. This is much appreciated, and I'm very happy to be a contributor of this talk. Nigeria has adopted the child rights in 2003. But if you look at what is happening, this act is not practicable. It's not been practiced in Nigeria. If you look at if you look online, you will see that it's there. But what is going on is not practicable. The reason it has not been domesticated is because of our religion, ethnic and cultural diversity. Because the government of Nigeria is failing to live up to its obligation. The government has failed to incorporate it as a formal school curriculum. Yeah, there's an act, but has it been in the curriculum? How does a Nigerian child know its rights? Leaving children exposed to harmful practices and abuses, which is being prohibited by the Convention on the Rights of a Child. Because when you look at the Child Rights Act, I believe, from what I checked, that 25 out of 26 states in Nigeria have localized the Child Rights Act. What's happening to the 11 states? It has not been domesticated. They don't even know about it. You call an average Nigerian child and ask them about their rights. They don't know. They cannot explain to you. They don't even know what it's all about. Even the one, that we think that in schools, this thing is not carried over into the curriculum. Whereas in the developed countries, that's the first thing they tell them, your rights. Even an average Nigerian citizen doesn't know their rights, not to talk of a Child Rights Act. When you look at it, when you look at what's going on in the society, it's about 11 million Nigerian children work, and there are very few that have reported dangers. There's so many dangers, with Nigerian children. And none of these dangers has been reported, is always being covered. And the children working, a lot of our children, they are on the streets. About 42% of the children, they work day or more. They have more dangers in their lives than, a normal child. A normal child in Nigeria is being traumatized. They don't know the law. They cannot even the parents, they are not even educated on the rights of their own children. When a child is being raped, the mother would tell the child, please don't tell anybody, because it's going to be a stigma on our family. Nigeria, I don't want to go into that first, because I know that, you're going to ask questions on what needs to be done. I have my reservations, I have my answers on what needs to be done, but first we have to address the issues of why Nigeria is not domesticating these rights to the children. They don't know the rights of, it's not in the curriculum. So if a child doesn't know what is not in the curriculum, if they're not being taught in schools, they can't speak up for themselves. An average Nigerian child is frightened to speak out if they are being sexually abused with anybody. They can't speak up. It's like a stigma on them. So they cannot even go to the police to report this. So an average, about 15 million Nigerian children work, and I have to say this, I would say 1% is not being reported. 1% of all this is not being reported. So what do we do as organizations, as mothers? Because I can see that all we here on this platform, we are all women. How can we
we have a man amongst us.
Oh, just a man. Yeah, okay. A man, we have more women. How can we come together as organizations to fight back this? Because it's been going on and on. And, we have a system whereby when you speak up, you're being seen as a troublemaker. Nigerian legislature must create a national version of this. Like I said, only 11 states. When the girls that have been kidnapped in Nigeria, a lot of children are being kidnapped. What is being done about it? So they just employ private investigators to go and follow this, because the Nigerian forces, they said the police is doing a lot of work. When we go online to read and we read the books, we don't see how a Nigerian child is being helped. So Nigerian adopted this child rights in 2013, giving consent to both United Nations Convention on the rights of the child, while on the other hand, the African Charter of the Rights and Welfare of the Child, is not being taken into consideration at all. So I want to believe, because I just want to stop from here so that other people can talk, is how do we carry along? Nigerian child don't know their rights. That's, as far as I'm concerned, they do not know, because they are not even taught in the schools. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ma. Thank you very much, Ma. Based on where you've stopped, you understand. Before I go on to before I comment on that, can I quickly introduce the only man amongst us? I'm so sorry, I cannot pronounce your first name. But Mr. Folorunsho.
Let me help you with that, man. The name is Viavonu. 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 Yes, Folorunsho.
Viavonu Folorunsho.
Viavonu, yes. And let me just say that there's gender imbalance here.
We will work on that.
So I'm waiting to see who is going to fight for men here.
Okay, when we get to that bridge, sir, rather. Okay,
It's
Mr.
right.
Viavonu Folorunsho is the Deputy Director for Social Welfare, Lagos State. Right, so we will call on you. When we need your contributions, we'll let you know. But based on what Mrs. Rhoda George has said, I would like to invite our mommy in the house, Mrs. Oyedokun, to please comment on that. Mrs. Rhoda has said a lot of things. She said this is not in the curriculum. Why are we not teaching rights in the child rights right, the Child Rights Act in the curriculum? Why are schools, why as the government, or why are schools not doing it? Or could it be that they're doing it and we're not aware of it? And if they're doing it, how many schools are doing it? You have the floor, ma. Mrs. Oyedokun. You need to unmute yourself, ma. Unmute yourself. I muted you earlier.
Okay.
Thank you
very
much.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we
can.
Can
You hear me? Good afternoon
very well,
once again. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you very much. The last speaker, you have really spoken well. My name again is Oyedokun Abimbola. I'm an educationist, an experienced one. The challenge before the state, when I say state, I want to bring it to Lagos State now, as a staff of Lagos State in the education sector. I know that we have lots to do. I want us to first identify who a child is. A child is a person that is below the age of 18. When education starts from where? From home, from the womb. But along the line, the government comes in to take over. Too many things we expected from the government. But as parents, what are we doing to help ourselves? Our children are the ones being exposed, being tormented. They need our protection. Let this start from home. We are not to transfer everything on the government. As a mother, as a parent, what are the things you are teaching your child? What are the things you are inculcating into your children? Do you teach them how to honor themselves? Do you teach them how to protect themselves? We've all agreed that giving them protection is very important. We all know that we have to safeguard them. But learning starts from the parents, from the home, from the community. But are we not failing as parents? What do we do? Because the trend is at 3 months, we push them out. We take them to crèche because we need to work for our living. When we are supposed to stay to teach them, to put them right, to give them the rightful thing at that that tender age, we failed there because we want to live a successful life. We are forgetting that we are nurturing lives. We are forgetting that these are gifts from God. We are forgetting that at the end of the day, we are going to give. We are account of how we nurtured this one. Money is not everything. When you train your child, when you train your child how to behave, I'm very sure for such a child to be harmed by an outsider, but yes, I know that many things, too many distractions around us, too many interference. But it is the knowledge in that child that will first help the child before the outside help comes in. What knowledge are we passing to them? We have rendered them, we have released them to social media to be their parents now. First, the crèche from 3 months old to 18 years. And you don't be surprised that before the 18th birthday, they have already declared themselves to be adults. They don't believe that they are children again. Because that age, that tender age when we are supposed to be nurturing them, we even expose them to social media. What they are not supposed to take in, they are eating, they are drinking. They sleep, dreaming of nothing but something that will not benefit them. So for the government to be challenged or accused, let us first look inward as parents.
Okay,
Um,
thank you very.
Hello?
Sorry. Yes, ma.
Okay. For safeguarding, I want to say it is not too late because there is an adage in Yoruba when you have to look into the beginning, the foundation. What is the root cause of all this challenge? When we get it right from home, I'm assuring us that things will be better for our children. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I just want to quickly read a comment here. One of the comments says that most schools are not aware, they're not familiar with the child right law. We have school owners here as well. And going back to you, Mrs. Oyedokun, as
Yes,
a school, as a senior leader in the
yes,
school,
yes.
what are your views on this? Are your staff, would you say all your staffs, hands up, they are fully aware of this law, of this act?
I will say yes, because we do expose them to many seminars. Even last week, there was a seminar organized by Lagos State on child protection and safeguarding, and many educationists were in attendance. Government and we have been given that mandate that we should take it back to our schools to expose our teachers. Many are aware of this, but the unfortunate thing is that we are not well equipped to carry it out. We are not well equipped to carry this out. So maybe the organ in our midst will have more to say on this. How to help
Okay.
schools to carry out this, for to create this awareness for all stakeholders to key into it so that we have a better result.
So there's a question on the floor for implementation. Right. Can I invite my beautiful sister, Sister Funke Olugbemi? I'm so sorry the way I pronounced your name. Hello, ma. You are probably mute, and I can see two of you at the moment.
I could, yeah,
You're going to echo because you are, or you have to, you're streaming twice. Okay, I've muted one of you.
Okay.
Is it better now? Can you hear us? Still echoing. Okay, man. Okay, let's move on to Sister Taiwo. Our mommy, Mrs. Oyedokun talked about implementation. The challenges they're having is implementing this law. They are aware of safeguarding, but she focused mainly on safeguarding. The government sends the leadership teams of each school to go on safeguarding training. Now they're faced with the challenges of implementing it. What are your views on this, and how do you think we can overcome these all implementation challenges that we're faced with?
All right, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. And Sherry, thank you for inviting me. Our mommies in the house, thank you for the words that you've shared with us, filled with so much experience and knowledge. Thank you so much, Maz. I would like to say that, first of all, when we talk about the child, the rights of a child, like Mommy said, that first of all, who is a child? A child is someone that is below 8, right? So these are children, the rights of the children. They are children after all. So first of all, when we talk about implementation, allowing the children to be aware of what their rights are is like the second phase of action of implementation. The first one is we, the caregivers, protecting the rights of the children. We call them children after all. Okay, so even though our motive, our goal is to make them aware, we, the caregivers, parents, teachers, caregivers, adults around them, our first responsibility is for us to protect the rights of these children before they are even aware. We are the adults. We are the ones with the knowledge, the understanding. We are the ones with the policies. We have formulated policies. We have put it in place, saying that we want to protect the rights of our children. But we are the one to first of all do that. And concerning that, in the school where I teach, we have a team that we call Child Protection Officers. Because children, you see, may not be very articulate sometimes when it comes to voicing out the kind of abuse they are going through. They may not even be able to identify it, that it's an abuse. It's going on in their homes, it's going on in their environment, it's going on in their school. They may not be able to identify and say, oh, I'm being abused. And even if they have the knowledge, they may not be articulate enough to let the right authorities aware. So the primary objective is for we to protect them. So the school where I am, we have child protection officers for each arm, from nursery all the way to grade 6, and of course high school as well. These child protection officers are there to protect the rights of the children and make sure that they are not abused. If a child comes to school with a scar, with a swollen eye, with a cut somewhere, some funny, or maybe the child is not as happy and bubbly as usual. These child protection officers have been empowered by the policy that have been put in place in our schools. A policy is in place, child protection policy. They have been empowered to probe, to investigate, to call these children, to talk to them, to ask them questions, and make sure that their rights are not being violated. So implementation, first of all, starts with we, the adult, to protect them and make sure that their rights are not violated. Now, the second phase should now be what Sherry and I discussed earlier, and that is for the children to be aware of their rights. They do not know. Children, even in my school, even though we have a value-based education program in place, we have child protection officers in place, we do not, and also we teach them sex education as well. We do not have a concrete blueprint in our curriculum that addresses their rights specifically, and we do not teach them that. We don't tell them, okay, this is your right, this is how you should protect yourself, this is how you should know. Instead, we ask as the caregivers. But it's a good idea that children should be aware. And having said that, I think a document can be put in place, a document that is stepped down so low to their level, document that contain age-appropriate information. You cannot give a document on policy on child's rights and give it to a grade 6 and say, yeah, go and read. When you're done reading, oh, then you know what to do. You know how to protect yourself. No, we need to come together as stakeholders and go into production of books. Produce maybe cartoon books or prose or poetry or even drama depicting what we want them to know, stepping down the document. That is implementation. You bring a cartoon, you give it to a grade 2, and she reads it, and at the end of the day, that child is aware that, oh, really? You mean I have a right to education? And I can't, if my parents tell me they don't have money, I have to stay at home and not go to school, they are violating my rights. Oh, okay. So that is that. And then grade 3, and on and on. Age-appropriate materials can be produced as educational materials from the main documents, step it down and produce it so that these children can be aware. Other activities in school, if you notice, children love role playing, they love acting, they love drama, they love singing, they love, all kinds of things, read storybooks and all of that. We can incorporate what we want them to know, the knowledge we want them to know. We can put it into the books that they will read, and understand. All right. So when it comes to implementation, I think, it starts with us, and of course, stepping it down to the children for them to be aware of what they are supposed to know. And at this junction, please pardon me to bring it to limelight here, is that we have to be careful. Yes, we want the right to be a curriculum on its own, to stand alone. That is what we're canvassing for, and that is what we want. But we must be careful that in disseminating this information, in trying to let the children know what they are supposed to know, we don't end up giving them an entitlement mentality. We're in Nigeria. This is an African setting. Children can feel very entitled. We have our children. You know how they behave, and they feel it's their right. Mom, this, no, you should, and they start getting all entitled, and feeling like, yes, they're entitled in a way, yes, because it's their right. They are entitled, but we mustn't we mustn't succeed at the end of the day in now having them have this mentality and like, okay, they don't have to do anything. This is what they have as rights. So we must be culturally sensitive to our environment, so that when we're stepping down these materials, it's primarily to protect them and, of course, make the society a better place.
Thank you very much, Ma. Thank you very much, my sister, my beautiful sister Taiwo. Thank you very much for that. Yes, you're right. There's a difference between rights and having this entitlement mentality. But when we look at child rights, it goes beyond discipline. right? When you talk about child rights, a child has the right to good health, right? A child has the right to, clean water. A
To good
child has the right
education.
to good education. A child has the right to be protected from harm. Identity, right of you have the right to your own identity and owning your own identity. Those are there's so many. It's broad. When we talk about this entitlement, I know where you're on the last note that you ended. Some children might think, oh, my mom asked me to wash plates in the morning and the afternoon. She's inflicting on my rights. I have the right to my own. No. I think the rights is broader than
Can imagine that.
It's broader than being.
Or you slap your teenager. Yeah, or you slap your teenager and the teenager.
Yeah.
Oh, mommy, I'm reporting you. You just infringed on my rights. It's funny.
It's broader.
So we have to be careful.
Just one aspect. Yeah. One aspect of a child's right is
yes.
It's just a part of it. You understand? Abuse is a part of it. You understand? Like we discussed this morning.
Yes.
When you carry a weapon, like the traditional wooden stick, and you begin to hit your child continually. Now you have turned it in. That's no more discipline. That is abuse. Because I don't see why you will tell your child to lie down flat, and you now bring a weapon or a stick or a belt, whatever you call it, and start hitting the child. That is you have a personal issue as an adult, and then you are carrying out your frustration on that innocent child. Personally, that's the way I see it, and that's where I view it. So that's different. A child has the right to freedom of thoughts. You understand? That's another right. You have the right to think in a creative way, and the adult should be able to allow you to express your. A child has the right to express their views and their thoughts. Access to information, whether through books, the internet, guided by an adult. All of these are parts of rights that children have. And when children don't know it, it's a problem, because if it's growing up, personally, I'll be told, shut up, adults are talking. You're not allowed to express yourself. You're not allowed to express your view. If you have an opinion on a particular matter, I'll tell you a scenario, and before I hand over to the next person. This is something that happened to me as a child. As a child, I can remember this vividly. I saw another child beating the younger brother, was actually putting mark on that child. So I went there and I stood up, and I saw a friend of mine, and I said, I called the guy's name. I was about 10, 11. So I said, look at what this person is doing. So we stopped it. Do you know that when the boy's parents came back, that was a girl. When the parent came back, they went to report to our parents that we were the ones that inflicted that pain on the younger one. Now, my friend that was there, that should have stood up and said, no, we went there to defend the younger one that was helpless. He couldn't talk because he was so scared that they were going to beat. So I was one that got the beating of my life for defending somebody. And the person that was supposed to talk, the person could not talk because he was too scared. And that is the society we live in. That is what we have. That's where I grew up. Whereby when adult says yes, even if an adult is lying on you, you have to just keep quiet and just take it like that. If whatever pain is inflicted on you is fine because it is an adult. You are now allowed, you don't have an opinion. We're in a world where all of that is changing. And we're making a lot of noise about this now because these are our leaders. If we bring up leaders that cannot express themselves, then as a country, we have a problem. When they become leaders, when they assume position, that fear will be in them. They will not be able to show their subject or the people that they're supposed to lead. They will not be able to show them love. And that is one of the things we lack in Nigeria as a country. Because come on, if you love your neighbor, if you really truly love your country, and they are giving you money to repair roads, you will do the road diligently. You wouldn't, siphon half of the money and use a quarter or a third, or not even less than a quarter to do the road, and then you provide inferior things. That's where we are as human
Hello,
beings, and it starts from the younger
hello,
one. So now, what I'll do is I'm going to invite Dr. Bukola Dosunmu. You've heard everything, man. You are a school owner. You work with children, both young and older children. What
hello.
are your views on these? And going back to the implementation, what do you think from your own office, from your own perspective? What do you think can be done? And I would like to let you know, Dr. Dosunmu is based in Abuja, so I think we're a little bit cut across. Thank you very much, ma. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma.
Yes, we can hear
Good
you.
afternoon. It's great to be on this forum. I want to appreciate all the feedback and responses so far.
Hello.
I do agree with everything, but honestly, I think our discussion is coming from a very isolated point. I'm sorry to say. Taiwo Babawale made a remark during when she was talking that, okay, a parent says, I don't
Hello.
have, you can't go to school, or for whatever reason, and a child knows that his or her right is to go to school. Will that child fight the parent back? I think there are some foundational issues here that we really, really need to tackle. For example, we're talking about education. Education, if a child has not eaten breakfast or even had dinner,
Thank
if there
you.
is no proper shelter, if there
Mhm,
is no proper clothing, if there is no security,
mhm,
peradventure there's somewhere in far northern Nigeria where bandits,
mhm,
Boko
mhm,
Haram, the
mhm,
IPOP,
mhm.
they are working, they are on the prowl 24/7. There's no
Yes,
safety, no security, and we're
yes.
talking about child rights here. There are quite a lot of issues that come around it. Apart from the parental factors that we have stressed, we stressed also there are fundamental issues, survival issues that is affecting us in Nigeria and is making it difficult. There is no amount of pressure we can create on government. If they don't have the political will,
Oh, you're frozen, ma. If you can hear us. Oh, sorry, we've just lost Dr. Dosunmu. She's frozen. I'm not sure if you can hear us. Can you try and reconnect back? Right. On that note, she mentioned some key things. There are some fundamental issues with the Nigerian system, the structure itself. She said that in a country whereby a child's rights, education, the child does not even have proper home, no proper meal, no proper, there's no electricity. Now, can the child be fighting for rights? Well, when Dr. Dosumi comes back, I would add her on.
Right.
But this is the, yeah, true. And she ended up with the fact that the politician, there is no will. Do we have the political will? Do they, or whoever it is, do they have the political will? Now, I'm going to bring on the director of social welfare. Let's hear your views. And I think you've got a few case studies you would like to share with us. Hello, sir. You are on mute. I muted you a while ago, sir.
Okay, thank you so much, Matt. I would like to make a quick addition to what has been said already. Starting with Mrs. Rhoda's contribution, the number of states that are yet to domesticate the child rights law has reduced from 11 to 8. I think Sokoto joined the list of states that have domesticated November last year. And then, in addition to what Mrs. Taiwo Babawale said about not uh, talking about certain rights with children, I think that would not be good enough, because if you have a copy of the child rights law of Lagos State, it's a balanced law. The law did not just stop at highlighting the rights of the children. It also talk about the responsibilities of children. So children have rights, and they also have responsibilities towards the immediate
Yes.
family, their community, the state, and the country at large. So it's a balanced book. And so I don't think we need to borrow something from them as far as their rights are concerned. Now, talking about the political will, our Lagos State government has done tremendously since it domesticated the Act 2007. And thereafter, in 2015, the law was amended when certain gaps were noticed. And I can say that we are in the process of amending that law again. The process has commenced and to further amend that law. And I'm hoping that before the end of this year or maybe early next year, we're going to have another version of that law, amended version. Okay. In addition to domesticating the law, the government in 2016 also came with Lagos State Safeguarding and Child Protection Policy. The policy is to not just prevent, but to also address the issues of treatment and what have you. And the provision of this policy is such that every child center is supposed to have this policy conspicuously displayed where visitors that are coming in can see it and know what the policy is all about. Now, after the law was domesticated in Lagos State, of course, the state went ahead to establish those provisions that were provided for in the law, talking about the family court at magisterial level and high court level, appointment of family court assessors and what have you. So we in Lagos State, we've been doing a lot. The government has been so supportive, ensuring that we have a success story to share with other states of the federation. And so when we talk about political will, of course, we have it here. The government budgets money every year to ensure that the needful is done by either in form of advocacy or sensitization. Different agencies are involved at different level of this commitment. You have the Domestic and Sexual Violence Response Agency. It used to be a team, but just I think late last year it was upgraded to an agency. So meaning that it has more responsibility, more power now to do much more for the children in the state. And then you have the Ministry of Education is also in the forefront. The Ministry of Youth and Social Development is not left behind, just because we want to make a point here. But I'm not saying that we cannot improve on what we are doing. In addition to the law, in addition to the policy, we have a simplified version of these documents to make it easy for the Nigerian side to be able to read and understand what the law and the policy are all about. I shared this with you yesterday, Ma, if you remember. But then we have our own challenges too, as far as this terrain is concerned. And what are those challenges? Of course, funding is not adequate, even though the government is doing a lot. We believe that the government can do more in terms of funding. There are areas to reach that we have not gotten to up to now. So we have a lot of programs that we desire to carry out, but we've not been able to do it because of funds. So the government can do more in that regard. There are trainings to be conducted. Fine, we've had so many trainings, even with the civil society organization, international organizations like UNICEF and all of that. They've been so supportive. Okay, but the fact is that we still need to train as many more people so that this job can be adequately addressed, ensuring that the Nigerian child is protected and all of that.
Thank you very much, sir. We can see what we've heard. Lagos State is doing their best. And you've also made mention of the challenges. Now, my question is, and this would go to anyone who is able to answer the question. I'll tell you what happens here in the UK. In the UK, every school, because I work in a school, I'm a teacher in a school. Every school Every teacher, including teaching assistants, as long as you're working with children, you have to undergo an annual training on safeguarding. Regardless of whether you're working regardless of what you do in the school, as long as you're in contact with children, every year you have to get a certificate for renewal. Now, and this is face-to-face training. Some schools, due to COVID, they started doing it online. Is this something that happens in Nigeria? Or because I heard from Mrs. Oyedokun that, yes, the leadership go and get the training and they come and transfer it to the people, to the other staff members, right? Is there a system that ensures that this is done on an annual basis? I'm not sure who wants to respond to that question.
Well, I would like to contribute. At every point in time, there's one training or the other going on in Lagos State as far as child protection is concerned. And this is not limited to civil servants alone. We have the Child Protection Network, which is the umbrella body of NGOs that are registered to address issues, children-related issues. So at every point in time, there is one training or the other going on, either supported locally or internationally. However, the training is not regimented in such a way that you have put it, that you have to do a renewal annually. But I can tell you that a very good number of people that are involved in child protection in Lagos State, a very good number of them have attended one training or the other to ensure that we do not compromise at any point in time. And even I, as a director, last year, I think I attended so many trainings. Some are fresh, some are refresher, so to say. But then we are not doing it in a structured way. I mean, like you have it in the UK, that you have to go for renewal on a yearly basis. But I can tell you, there's never a time that we don't have trainings going on. It is organized by UNICEF. It is organized by other international bodies, in collaboration with the state government. And so, as far as training is concerned, we can give ourselves a pat on the back in Lagos State.
Okay, thank you very much. So what you're saying is the trainings are there, but it is not it is not a mandatory thing. There's no structure to it. So maybe it's ad hoc, like whenever they do this training, you send them. Whenever another training comes up, you send them. I think on that note, what we should be asking the government to do is providing mandatory training annually, renewal.
Yeah.
What's your take on that?
I agree with you. Now,
agree. Yes.
Am I on?
No, sorry, Mrs. Oyedokun. Mrs. Oyedokun is agreeing with that statement that we should have a mandatory training.
So exactly. We need more of the training. Yes. And it should not be limited to a yearly. It should be coming up. Hello? It should be coming up quarterly, and it should be extended to all agencies that has got to do with what we are discussing this morning. The police, the youth social, the Ministry of Youth and Social Development, all the agencies that are concerned, government will bring all this together for us to be trained properly. Not that just a section will be trained, and after a long period of time, a year or two, then you call us back. There should always be a renewal to help us to carry out this safeguarding of our children.
Yeah, for me, where I work, our child protection officers are sent for trainings regularly, though not annually, but they are sent for training regularly. But what I would like to say, to the government, our government representative in our midst, sir, director, is that the training should include more of the people that are on ground with the kids. Yes, I know the training is diversified, training for the leaders, for the directors, for representatives of agencies, and all of that. But I would like to recommend that, can we please include more of the people that are actually with the children, that are working with the children, teachers, heads of schools, assistant teachers, because if you concentrate training government officials more than, the people that are actually on ground doing the work, I don't know, because the trainings that have been going on here.
Hello?
I think we've just lost our network.
Hello?
Okay, can I contribute to that, man?
Yes, ma,
Hello?
please do. Yes, sir, please
Yes,
do.
yes. I think as far as schools are concerned, I think the agency of government responsible, or that should be held responsible for training of teachers, school management, and all of that should be the Ministry of Education. I know they have a collaboration with the body of private school owners and all of that. So I think they can work it out between themselves and ensure that training is conducted on a regular basis. But for us in the Ministry of Youth and Social Development, we don't limit our training to civil servants. I mean, to our officers alone. Police have been involved, times without number. They are involved in our training. The home operators, orphanage operators, they've attended several of our trainings, because we cannot just put children in their care and not train them on how to go about handling the cases of such children. So we are not selfish in terms of who should attend. For as long as you have a role to play, for as long as you have a role to play, and the ministry recognizes you as such, of course, you can be sure that you attend one training or the other in a given year.
Okay,
I
thank you
also
very
like
much, sir.
to
So
add
the
to
next
this.
person we need to
Hello,
bring
hello. Can
on.
I add to what she is
Yes,
saying?
ma'am.
Hello? I also want like
Please
to
bring
add that
on.
there should be designated officers. Apart from the training, when we have designated officers in charge in each school, this will help us to disseminate everything we have been trained. Not that it should be a general training that we all just go back to say whatever I want to say. But for this to be carried out as it should be, we should have designated officers that are more experienced, more trained for this job. Apart from the school counselors, let it be their duty, the only role they need to play in
Child
the
protection
environment or in the
officers.
school environment.
Yeah.
Yes, in schools, especially in schools, the experience they
ma,
will have for that, hello,
just a quick question, ma.
hello,
A quick question. So
yes,
from
okay,
your own understanding now, in government
yes.
schools, do they have designated officers who are in charge of child protection? From your experience?
For now, we only have counselors. We only have counselors doing this job. But I believe that if we bring in designated officers to carry out this job, apart from counseling job, it will be better. It will work. It will bring better results.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, the role of a counselor is different from
it's
that,
quite
and I think I
different from
totally
yes.
different, and I totally
Madam
agree
Host,
from where.
Madam Host, let me make a contribution. We have a unit under Social Welfare Department called School Social Work Unit. Now,
okay,
we have officers of that unit in every district, every educational district in Lagos State. Now, why we are limited to district is because we are short-staffed. We don't have enough staff to post to every school in Lagos State. So we work on a district basis. So that means that if there is the issue of child protection in any school, of course, the head of that school knows what to do. They've been trained. They have been trained, and these officers also double as the child protection officers. They are at district level. So it is it is the responsibility of schools under each district to know who to contact when issues of child protection arise. Thank you, ma.
Thank you, sir.
Agreed,
We're all
but
saying the same thing. Yes, ma. Do
yeah,
you want to add to that?
but agreed. But like what he is saying, there are designated officers in the district. For example, in a district now, like Alimosho district, where there are over 50 schools, for one officer to be in charge of 50 schools. And how do you expect such an officer to oversee reports from over 50 schools per time?
That is
Until
one
we
of the
have
challenges. That is one of the challenges that we
so
that we
you need
face.
to bring
That
in
is one of the challenges.
more workforce to help us to have results that we desire. We need more hands on deck for this to work out, please.
So
I agree
two
with you,
things we've
man.
gathered from this. One, we need more of the social school workers, right?
Yes,
And the second thing is every school, whether you are government or you are privately owned, you should have designated safeguarding
so
officers in school,
exactly.
not your regular guidance and counseling.
Very
Not
well.
the regular guidance. So this is in a government school, you don't need additional staff. Teaching staff can be trained to take on that responsibility.
If you are to
It's
consider
not
the
a standalone
population,
job.
yes, ma, if you are to
Yes.
consider the population of the students we have in our schools now, for you to add that extra labor on teachers again is another story. I believe that the way out is for us to have specialists to handle this issue. A teacher that
Can
will
I
have
can I
that.
ask? Can I
Will,
respond to that? Can I respond to that, ma? When it comes to
okay,
child protection, when it comes to
okay,
child safety and the the policy, the safeguarding rule, I believe personally. Well, it's not a personal belief; it's a fact in the law. It is everybody's responsibility. It is
Very
every
well.
agree,
staff responsibility. It's not
agree.
that you just have the designated team whom you will report a case to, but every
Yeah,
class teacher, it's every class teacher's responsibility. Even if the
agree.
school is filled with 2,000 children or 3,000 children, if you have about 6 officers who are designated officers, that will still do. It's not a standalone job. A teacher in primary 6 or in JS3 can be known, and the picture of that teacher is all over the school. This is the safeguarding teacher. This is the designated lead for safeguarding, and children know that I can always walk to this person and talk. Talk in private with this person.
With
You
this,
understand,
yes,
if need be. But it is still the class teacher's responsibility. It is still the class teaching assistant's responsibility to make sure that every child is safe. Children should be able to approach their teacher and tell them what they're going through. So it's not about asking the government to invest more. What the government should be investing more in is the availability of the training and ensuring that government schools have this staff in place. If you're not recruiting new staff, you're just training them and making sure that they're able to take on that responsibility. And they know who to call. If I go walk into a school, every teacher should be able to tell me that if the child comes to me and tells me something in confidence about abuse going on, then any teacher I come across should be able to tell me I know who to call. Whether it is a district social worker, or it is somebody within the school to report a first-hand information to. I think that's what we're lacking at the moment. In some private school have been able to do a good job, like Mrs. Taiwo said, our school already has that in place. That is fantastic. Dr. Bukola Dosumu is back. Dr. Bukola Dosumu, you were saying something. You were talking about the political will, and our deputy director for social welfare has been able to. I'm not sure whether you were in on the platform when he was talking about the political will and what Lagos State government has been able to do. Over to you, ma.
Thank you very much. Apologies for being thrown out. That's to know that you are dealing with someone in Nigeria. We have the network.
It is.
In fact, I've been on 3 networks, just to be on top
Okay.
of it.
Wow.
Honestly, Lagos State is a true comrade when it comes to issues regarding to child issues, social welfare issues. They've done fantastically well, and it is
Thank
their
you.
model worth copying by other states
Yeah.
of the country, so that they
I
can
think we
just
should give that
streamline
to
it.
Lagos State.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yes,
honestly,
yes, 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 yes,
be
yes,
honest.
yes.
When issues come up and you see the policies they have, you see the programs they have. In fact, COVID revealed a lot about what Lagos State had in place, and I think it's because they had the right people running the affairs of education, and then the political will is there, and then maybe the resources, and then the nature of Lagos State being the melting pot for Nigeria. But besides there's a role where lobbyists, life changers, organizations, and so many organizations needs to come in. Now we're saying a lot about having trainings, having teachers in schools responsible. We also need to have a quality assurance process to ensure that when these things, when reports are being taken, when steps and protocols are being taken, they are properly done. I don't know if Lagos State has that in place to support this safeguarding issue, but we need
We
to
have, we have, we have, we have.
you have the quality assurance, and
Yes,
that just
yes, yes, yes.
and that just makes it. Now besides that, there might also be the need, that's on the issues of ensuring that it steps down. You need to do more advocacy. The schools that are doing it, sir, in Lagos State, let them begin to talk aloud and let people begin to learn from the models. You said, for example, in Alimosho, you have about 50 schools, and those 50 schools, I'm sure they are just public schools. They are not even the
Yes,
private schools. So you can imagine by the
yeah.
time you're bringing the private school on board, the government also have the burden of funding, and that's another area where political will comes in. Are they really ready to spend money to spend to run these programs and structures? So the main thing that was of concern to me that I was going to try to stress at that point in time, of course, civic education has some bits of child rights acts in Nigeria at the moment. Some of our civic education textbook. There's a particular
Yes.
social studies textbook that I think I'm not marketing, but any opportunity I have, I talk about Kachifo, their social studies. Also, has brought in a bit on the Child Rights Act for children. We are saying that we want it to be a standalone curriculum. But do we know that already the curriculum of what the children in Nigerian schools are learning is even overburdened already? If we are to compare
Exactly.
with what obtains in the UK, it's overburdened. We brought history along the line. We're talking about geography. We're talking about civic. Now we're talking about Child Rights Act. What there's a need for the policymakers to take a look at the curriculum and try and harmonize the curriculum for the children when it comes to the aspect of this social studies, this civic, this moral instruction, the child rights that we're bringing in. Let it be a standalone, and then let children have more contact periods during the week for these subjects, and also have more projects and experiential based learning. That's the only way children can actually know their rights. Knowing their rights is not a function of head knowledge. I have a right to education. I have a right to shelter. No, they should be also be aware when their rights is being violated. They should also know what to do when to demand for their violated rights. And when there's a demand, there should be a system that should be able to protect the children and enforce the process. And that is what I want to challenge us today. In as much as we're talking about abuse, how many cases are brought out? Why
Mhm.
are Nigerian parents not even willing for their children to speak out? What
Exactly.
structures do we have in the system in Nigeria that can help and protect those that come out to speak out when there are issues on abuse? Those are the things that developed countries have done. Those are the things that Lagos State that is blazing, trailing the blaze. That those are the things that they need to help us put in place so that we can hear more from our children. But honestly, if a family is unable to feed, if a family is unable to shelter, if they're unable to clothe, and when we're talking about safety and security, it's going to be very, very difficult to say we're protecting children. We complain about children knocking on the streets. We complain about children being used for housework and all that. I know Lagos State and some other public officers will say, but there is free education. But we give free meals in school for the children on a daily basis. How consistent are these? How effective are these? And what assurances do these give to the parents before they can say that stop hawking, oh yeah, go to school. When you come back, you can do the little bit you can do. So it's so multifaceted, so many areas that we need to address. But when we have trailblazers, let them go on and push through. Lobbyist organizations like Life Changers, this is where we need you to advocate and promote structures that are working so that we can all come into it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dosumu. Thank you very much for that. When you talked about the curriculum, it's a pity that our sister Taiwo had to leave. She works with another NGO, that's a non-governmental organization that tried to sell this, promote this to the Lagos state government. But they said exactly what you said, that all of this is embedded in the curriculum, the current curriculum already. But what I would say is it might be easier to have something like this. The Child Rights Act is just one aspect of it. Social norms, social values. There's so many. In the UK, we have what we call PSHE. That is physical education, health education. Sometimes you say you can add economics to that. Now, that includes child rights and responsibilities. So one thing is a child knowing their rights and knowing what their responsibilities are. Do you understand? But it also covers a lot of other things like bullying, how to characterization, your character, having a good character and things. So there's so many things involved in that. If we have that as a standalone subject, it has more impact. Like now, we have that in the UK as a standalone subject. But in other subjects, science, geography, RE, religious education, all of these values are also there. But having it as a standalone subject, it sits well with the child. We have it up until secondary school, right? That I'm aware of. Right? If you have it as a standalone subject, the way you know your science, you know that as well. The way you know your maths, the way you know your English, you know that as well. You understand? It gives that child confidence. I know that Nigeria, we have a long way to go, but we have to start from somewhere. We can't say because of the insecurity, the lack of light, the lack of proper shelter for some communities, that we're going to deprive others of the benefit of becoming, a true citizen. You understand, of the country, while the government will keep promising and try to do what they can. Like you rightly said, organizations like Life Changers Foundation and other NGOs will come together to create awareness. We still want children to be aware of this, whether or not the environment, there's a conducive environment to implement this. So if you know you're right and you know that, I deserve good shelter, but I don't have this at the moment, at least you know as a young person, right? And that brings me, we're going to round up in a minute. That brings me to the fact that I know there's a law that prohibits I'm tongue-tied this afternoon. Child labor, exploiting labor, and this includes hawking, children hawking on the streets. There's a clear law that backs it: 5 years imprisonment or 5,000 naira fine. Now, we go to the streets of Lagos and all that, and you see children roaming around the streets doing this. And we have a law that backs it, that stops us from doing this. And you see government officials, their vehicle driving everywhere, and nobody is saying anything.
Why is it not working?
But when there's a madman on the street, the government has a section that goes to remove people with mental illness on the street. But why don't we have a section that goes to remove children who underage who are selling on the street? Can we not do that?
Not in Nigeria.
Why are you saying not in
No,
Nigeria?
no,
Why don't
I
we
want
do
to
that?
disagree
It's
with
going
that.
to take a long while. In as much as you said that, yes, that we cannot say because if some people don't have shelter, we'll ignore. No. Yes, we say no child should be left behind. But if we continue to focus on one side and don't find a way in which to balance and even and level all things out, that neglected side is going to be a threat to the protected side. Look at us as
Exactly.
Nigeria as we are today. Nigeria
Is
is
what we
going
are
through
facing today.
just exactly, ma. Just because of one region. That's why we're here we are today. A region
Yeah.
where people felt, let's move on. Okay, now see, with all the developments in Lagos, the development in Southwest, is there peace? There are so
No.
many things contending. So honestly, it has to be holistic. The issues are more. It has to be, it is going to be difficult. If I'm going to pick, even if they tell me to be a tax sportsman that is clearing children or street hawkers, children hawkers up the street. If the children tell me,
Yeah,
lady, we've not
please,
eaten today.
can I contribute,
Oh,
man?
Hello,
Come
can
in,
I
sir.
come in? Sorry, can I
Yes, sir.
come
Yes, sir.
I think Mr. Folorunshaw
Hello,
mentioned
ma.
about, I think Mr. Folorunshaw earlier, I said, I'm just buttressing on your point that you were talking about Lagos State, and you've not mentioned anything about the north of Nigeria. You work in Lagos, you practice everything, all your trainings in Lagos, but you cannot, explain or tell us on this platform, does this thing really goes on in the north? And the trainings that you have, is it related to child acts or child rights? You did mention about funding and short staff. With all these issues and problems, this concern, I'm sure it's very, very difficult for you, for the, to put in place the child rights, because the Nigerian child needs uniform protection, not only in Lagos State, throughout. But we are talking on where we are based. I hope you understand what I'm saying. We are based in Lagos, and we can only vouch for Lagos State. Is it a uniform protection? Is it something that the whole of the country is practicing? Because we can hear of so many incidents happening in the east and in the north of Nigeria. So there's still a lot of problem, because the four guiding implementation of child rights are the provision of assistance of child basic needs. We cannot talk about child rights without the government giving basic needs for every child. The rights of survival and development, promotion of the best interest of the child.
Do we do that?
Protection against discrimination, neglect, and exploitation. Participation of children, decisions affecting their destinies. They have to know that. And I will say that if you had something like the child rights in their curriculum, it's not going to be too much. I think somebody mentioned that it was going to be too much. It can, and I know that Sherila, that I was already explained what is taking place in the UK, but it can be embedded in a subject like social studies. It doesn't have to be on its own. It can be embedded in a subject like social studies. So in social studies, you can teach them their rights. So that is just my only contribution about what
Mr.
is being
Folorunshaw,
mentioned.
do you want to respond to that, please, sir? Are you able to respond to that? Mr. Folorunshaw, I think he said his audio is poor.
Okay, it's coming on now. I think it's on now.
Please unmute. You are muted. Can you unmute, sir? Can you unmute, sir? You are muted.
Yes, I have done that.
Okay, good. We can hear you now.
Can you hear me, ma?
Yes, we can hear you. Perhaps if you
So,
just do audio and no camera, video, perhaps it might be better. I don't know. You're muted now.
hello, ma'am.
Yes, we
Yeah,
can
we
hear
can
you,
hear
sir.
you.
Okay, I wanted to contribute to what Dr. Dosumu said. I hope she was the one when she mentioned that we do not have a body that takes street children off the streets. Well, in Lagos, that will be incorrect because we have a unit in our rehabilitation department. It is called rescue unit. Part of the duty of this unit is to rescue children from the street from time to time. This is done even on a daily basis. And when these children are rescued, of course, we have different shelter for them, depending on their age and all of that. But you may not see the effort or the impact of this activity in Lagos State. Now, some of these children are reunited with their families either in Kano or Borno State, Imo, as the case may be. But this is a federation where it not require visa to come to Lagos from Sokoto, for instance. So more often than not, when these children are reconciled with their family back in their home state, in fact, before the officers will get back to their office, these children are back in Lagos.
Yeah.
So it has become a vicious cycle. So children that are rescued today, after we have rehabilitated, after we have some, of course, some end up in school, some end up in guardianship as provided for in the law. But the fact is that some of these children are used to free money that they get on the street. And like Dr. Dosumu said, a region of the country is holding us back. But I must also be fair to that part of the country that has held us back for so many years. Sometimes a high number of these children are even from southwestern states, like Osun State, for instance. And so when we return them back home, they have a way of coming back to Lagos. So
Why?
it's been a serious challenge. But
Why,
I remember. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Hello.
We can hear you,
but I
sir.
remember that during hello.
We can hear
We can
you.
hear you,
Hello.
sir. We can hear you, sir.
Okay, during the lockdown, I had a discussion with my former director, and I was telling him that this idea of rescue children from the street and reconciling them with their families in their home states, is not working. It's not giving us a desired result. Can we establish a social welfare village in the 3 senatorial districts in Lagos State, so that when these children are rescued, those who don't want to go to a formal school, of course, can get enrollment for vocational skill for a period of time, and those who want to continue with education or who want to go for formal education can also be enrolled. And then he now asked me the question of funding, and I told him, I said, sir, we can create the Governors Forum. Our governor can take the initiative of creating the Governors Forum, where every state is represented in that village. The governor of such state should have
Responsible.
to contribute to this,
Okay.
to sustain
Whoa.
such a project, because it's going to consume a lot of money. So a situation where you have maybe 50 or 100 Osun State indigene on the street of Lagos will rescue them, and you want the state of Lagos, the government of Lagos State alone to rehabilitate such children. I think it would be unfair to the government of Lagos State. I cannot collect my own federal allocation and then you expect me to expend it on your own citizens. I mean, it's not fair. So I suggested to him that look, we can advise the governor to create a forum where other states can key into such project. But I don't know whether it was processed or not.
Can I come in on that? Can I come in on that? Thank you very much. It's a good insight that you've given us now.
Yes.
Now, the thing is, when you have children like that who come in from other states, let's use Osun State as an example. If the problem we have is all the states are not working together, right? Rather than you handing them over to them, why don't you hand them over to another agency? In another agency that is just like your agency in that state. It's not your responsibility to now rehabilitate them or send them to their parents. You can take them to their parents in their state, but in partnership with the agency that is similar to your agency in Osun State. Now, that agency will have to ensure that that child stays there and remains in school. Because if you just drive them and ship them back to Osun, Sokoto, or wherever they're from, they will find their way back to Lagos.
They will come back to Lagos.
They will come back. But if you are handing them over to another agency who will now take on the responsibility of ensuring that that child goes back to school, remains with their parents, give them all the support that is needed, it saves Lagos State the stress, if I would say. Do you understand that? Now, the problem we have as a nation is we wait for states like Lagos to do something. Lagos is doing something, let us replicate it. You understand? Or we wait for one major incident to happen. Then we begin to find a solution. Just like people who build houses in Nigeria. If the house is not about falling, like you can physically see that the house is tilting and about to collapse, nobody will think of maintaining it. And I think that's a general problem we have as a country. Dr. Dosumi, what do you want to say to this, man? We're going to round up in about 5 minutes, man.
Okay. Thank you very much. It's been a very robust discussion. But the honest truth is, I still a bit critical of Mr. Folorunsho's proposition about dealing with these street children, because we know that the main foundation of child rights is the home, is the parents. Why do the families send these children out? How will I give birth to a child, and I would allow the child go and wander across states to fend for a living? So I think there are foundational issues that we really, really need to take care of as a nation. Even if you take these children and take them into camps, some of their parents may still go there and influence them. He already made a statement that they are used to the money that they see because they know that they need to survive. So in a nutshell, what I'm trying to say is we need to take care of the home, the parents, educating the adults. When we're talking about child rights implementation, it's at across 5 key levels: the child itself, the parents themselves, then we have the law enforcement, and that's where we also put the lobbyist group, then the legislators with the political will. The parents, we need to take care of the community. Yes, the community, ma. The issue of the parents is very, very, very key. And then, Mr. Folorunsho, we're sending you back to them. You are doing well, but the message that we want to bring out to all our political leaders is the role of basic education. Basic education is very, very key. If children are engaged, if they go to school, most of these children that are abused at home and some other cases, you find out that these things happen when they ought to be in school. It's either while they're roaming around or something, they get into trouble. But if we can get these children into school 7 to 3, get them busy, get them engaged, their mind developed, and safeguard the community, society. It's not just only from abuse. the insecurity. You know, you're saying so much lofty, beautiful happenings in Lagos State, but that doesn't represent Nigeria at all. That's just a bit of what is going on in Nigeria. The part of where I am in Abuja, you won't believe how we're already under tension on news of bandits here and there. You know, so the general insecurity in the country, it's weighing down on the progress being made on the issue of child education and poverty education for children and abuse, and also the escalating poverty in the family household in Nigeria, where families can no longer feed their children and everything. They are adding to it. Education, poverty eradication, strengthening the families, with in fact strengthening them, whether this is about NEPA or whatever it is, the basic infrastructure for food, for clothing, for shelter, for safety, for security and education comes first. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dosumu. So, Mr. Folonshaw, we are sending you back to your office. Please, we will invite you again very soon. But what I would like, can you still hear me? My camera is off, but can you still hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, ma.
Yes.
Okay, good. So, but what we would like, what we need to do, right, is to invite someone else from the education department. Because for me, it seems that they don't know. They're not like they don't know. I think there's still a lot to be done, like the safeguarding training, making sure that even those at the bottom of the from the ground, they know. I mean, the on-ground staff, the teachers who are working there, teaching the children, those who are working directly with the children, they need to have regular training as well. So I think we will be referring back to the Ministry of Education and having a representative from there join us and tell us what they're doing. It seems that we only have access to Lagos, but we will try and see if we can get other states as well. But our priority is to try and get the Nigerian child on top of the 2023 agenda. Now, we know election is the biggest thing in Nigeria now, right? Everybody is talking about it. Now, we're missing out the most important thing. Who is going to be the next president? Now, what does that president has to offer? If we need a president or a governor, a legislator, whether from councillor level to Senate level, who is going to put our children at the forefront of their agenda. Personally, I wouldn't campaign for lights because that's like a dead done deal. It's never going to happen, as we've seen. But let us ask for things that are our basic rights. You know, our children, we are grown. I think that's my own personal view. Let us try and, you know, convince them. Let's do more for these children. What are you going to do for our children? The act is there. Let's start by creating awareness. Even the child that doesn't have shelter, if we can get him into school, the government should be able to do something. No child deserves, no, seriously. You know, Mr. Folonshaw made it. They work with other NGOs. The government works with a lot of NGOs. Children who are orphaned, they refer them to other NGOs. And I think Lagos State, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Folonshaw, Lagos State, you know, supports some NGOs who some children homes, like orphanage homes as well. Am I correct, Mr. Folonshaw? Can you hear me?
The audio has been so poor. So it's going to be difficult for me to make meaningful contribution because I couldn't get exactly what you are trying to pass to me.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So my question was that Lagos State, as we know, as I was told.
But I understand you are talking about NGOs, right?
Yes, the Lagos State works well with NGO, works closely with NGOs
Definitely.
that rehabilitate
We
children.
work with a lot of them. We work with a lot of, especially through the Child Protection Network.
Right, through the Child Protection Network. Good. So what we want to get from
Yes.
all of this, like we said, we want this to be part of the curriculum. Mrs. Rhoda George said, perhaps if it's not a standalone subject, it could be embedded into one of them. Mr. Folanshaw has made us realize that we do, Lagos State has produced a child-friendly Child Rights Act, a friendly version of it. That is a friendly version available, and it's showing us right now. As you can see, it's showing us now. Now, the thing is this available in all schools across Lagos states?
Now, that document
Document
was
is just
produced by
showing us
Roland.
now. Okay.
Yeah, yes, this document
Is it widely distributed?
This document is produced. I cannot answer that question.
That is a document produced by Lagos State, the Child Rights Act.
This one is produced.
It's a friendly version of it.
This one is
a child-friendly version.
This one is produced by British Council, to support the effort of Lagos State government. Are we together?
Now, what has Lagos State government now done to make sure that this goes round all the people that need to have access to this?
Now, what each agency need to do is to request for the quantity that they need from British Council or from UNICEF, and they will be obliged.
Okay, what I will be doing,
if you need large volume, all you just need to do is apply to the British Council that you need so quantity of this document. You'll be given.
That's good to know. What I will be doing is after our meeting, after this chat, I will be contacting the British Council.
Free of charge.
And I will be contacting UNICEF to see how we can access this document and what they can do. If we need it to be funded, for it to be distributed across schools. I'm not sure whether British Council will have the capacity to distribute this across every school in Nigeria, but at least if one school in Nigeria should have a copy, that would go a long way.
Yes, I agree with you. But we should also remember that all MDAs have one budget provision or the other. So if it is not provided for in this year budget, they can in each MDAs, ministries, department, and agencies, they can produce this on their own with copyright permission from British Council.
So that's a way forward for us then. So we should be mandating that this should be distributed across all schools in Nigeria because it's a ready-made, it's a document that is available. Were you able to find out whether there was an online version of it? Is there an online version of this document? Oh, the audio. Okay, so I think we're going to.
I know that there is online. I wouldn't know if there's online version, but for the Lagos State Safeguarding and Child Protection Policy, you can access it online.
Where?
Access it online.
Where, sir?
The same thing with the Child Rights Law of Lagos State is online. You can access it.
Okay, but where? Where do we access this from?
I will maybe I can get you the website to go. I will send it to your WhatsApp later after this program, and then you can share it.
Sir. Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
But I know
any final thoughts, Mrs.
I know that this document can be accessed online.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. So any final thoughts, Mrs. The next guest we're going to have is someone from the Ministry of Education. Thank you very much, Mr. Folanshaw. Mrs. Oyedokun, do you have any final thoughts? I'm not sure. I think the audio is bad. Mrs. Oyedokun, can you hear us? I don't think she can hear. Dr. Bukola, Dr. Bukola Dosumu, do you have any final thoughts, ma?
Thank you very much. Final thoughts. It's better late than never starting, so we wouldn't have to give up. We'll just have to continue to drive the initiative, but it should go beyond the comfort zone. We tend to concentrate on communities and areas where they are more elitist. Some things tend to work in the private schools more than the public schools, but then we have more of the Nigerian children, the poorer ones that we really want to reach, the more Nigerian children that are more vulnerable. We tend to have them in the public schools. So we need to do more beyond just the private schools to reach out to the public schools. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ma. Thank you very much for that thought. Mrs. Rhoda George, ma.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sherry. And Life Changers Foundation, I really thank you for inviting me to this program. Then my last final thought is just on the Nigerian government has to put in more effort because a child's right is sometimes based. We know that there's a lot of things that we have to do foundationally, that the parents, some parents needs to be educated as well, because when a child runs out of the home, it means that it's a broken home. And when a child is walking, it means that there's a problem in the household. So the government has to, give the parents more job, look into the affairs of the families, and look into the affairs of the providing basic needs. We can't just write that off, that Nigeria, they can't give light, they can't give water. These are the essential things that a citizen of a country, that they are called basic needs in developed countries. It is essential. Is either you like it or not. People need it. So we have to continue to, to work towards giving all these basic needs so that a child can have their rights. And when a child wants to do their homework in the night and there's no light to do the homework, so this will lead the child into doing, dangerous activities. The International Labour Organization estimates that nearly half of working children in Nigeria are stuck into child labor. And 43% of children engage in dangerous activities because they are not fully engaged. So just to round up this, there's a lot of things that we have to say, but because of the time factor, the Nigerian government has to do a lot. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ma.
Hello.
Mrs. Oyedokun, you're back. Can you hear us?
Well, thank you very much. For what I would like, yes, I can. What I want to say is that we should ensure that the rights of children are safeguarded. We should try to give to them what they deserve. That government in the capacity to make sure that the life of the Nigerian child is precious, and we should know that they are the future leaders. So it is what we give to them that they will give to the coming ones in future. So it is for us to work together and to make sure that all that we have discussed today is not just discussed but implemented. Thank you very much.
Oh, yes, ma. Thank you very much, ma. Yes,
Hello?
all what we have discussed today will be implemented. Like I've said, I will be speaking to the British Council to find out how we can get access to more copies of it. Mr. Folarin Shaw said to me he's going to send us the online link. If he can get access to, get hold of it, he will send it to us, which I would share as well. We will also be speaking to what department was it you mentioned? It was British Council and UNICEF as well, to see whether we can access this document and then begin to look at the document and see how it affects the Nigerian child, because we really want this to be on top of the agenda. So next program, we'll be looking at the actual act itself. We'll be picking elements from it like we're looking at we'll be looking at the protection from harm, which is and we know that Lagos State and most states in Nigeria have a safeguarding policy. Now we need to look at that policy and look at how that policy is being implemented. So when we look at protection from harm, every child deserves freedom from harm, from abuse. Children should be free from harmful works, harmful drugs, sexual abuse, human trafficking, the environment, emotional and physical, psychological abuse.
Yes,
Even war. In some parts of Nigeria, children are exposed to war, and we're not a country that is at war at large, but in some parts, you could say some parts of the country is at war. And other forms of exploitation. Now, we're going to look at it and look at case studies and find out that whether, I know we have some case studies, but we haven't got time. We're not going to go into that today. We need to find out whether or not this act is actually effective, because I've heard of cases that have gone to courts and very heartbreaking. They just went out like that. Not because there wasn't evidence. There was so many evidence, but the judge just felt, on this circumstance, I'm going to let the person go. So we're going to be looking at cases within our states, different parts of the states, and discussing whether or not and how effective, we're implementing this safeguarding policy. Are our children truly safe? Or do we have to wait for something nasty to happen to a child before we find out whether our children are truly and really safe? So thank you all for coming. I'll let you know when the next program will be. And like I've just said, we'll be focusing on the protection from harm, which is part of the Child Rights Act. And be looking at the safeguarding policy that the states have produced. I will be interested to compare Lagos State safeguarding policy to that of another state. Is it the same? Because obviously this safeguarding policy, it's not a federal thing.
Exactly.
Am I right,
it's
Mr.
It's for Lagos State.
Am I right?
It's for Lagos State. It's Lagos State.
It belongs to Lagos State government.
Belongs to Lagos State. So it will be interesting to study what is in Lagos State safeguarding policy and that of another state. So maybe a child is safer in Lagos than in Ondo or Oshun. I don't know. Yes. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Lagos.
So, sir, thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Bukola, for coming. Your contributions greatly appreciated. Thank you, Mrs. Rhoda George. Thank you very much, Mr. Folawinsho. Thank you, our mommy, with 30 years of experience in the teaching establishment. Thank you very much, Mrs. Oyedokun. Thank you very much. I really appreciate all of you for coming, and your contributions are really valid. I will be feeding back to you, and you'll be seeing the progress that we make as a charity, as an organization, in making sure that this is put at the forefront of the 2023 political agenda. Thank you all for coming. Thank you very much. God bless you. Have a fantastic day, whatever you get up to today.
Thank you very much.
Bye for now.
Bye.